Okay guys, I'll continue with the Java session. Like yesterday we were discussing about operators in Java. Hold on a second, I'll share my screen. I hope the screen I presented is visible to everyone. You are able to see the screen, right, everyone? Okay, yesterday as we discussed about arithmetic operators, where we will be using arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division and modulo, and these unary operators. Like it has only one variable where you can perform the operation here, like plus, like increment and decrement, all these things. And I told you, like in logical operators we will be having three, like not equals to and AND gate and OR gate. So we will start with like math methods and boolean. So for people who have not known how to create package, I'll start a new one. You can have n number of packages in your Java project. For now I'll create a package. I'll create like boolean value. I'll show how you will get the boolean values there. Boolean values. So this is my package name. So here the boolean value package I have created here. Inside it I'll create the class. Inside this I'll be creating a class as boolean example. So you can see before this, whatever I showed you, the examples, as I said before, you will be using SYSOUT, control spacebar. So whatever you write inside this method, right, it will print it out. So if I give here words like hello world, and if I run this Java file on the application, look, you are able to see the hello world, which is like a string. Like look, now I'll declare a variable with int a is equals to 100, and if I print out the variable name here and if I run it, you are able to see the value what the variable is carrying. Whatever the value I have assigned to the variable, it will be showing, it will be displaying. So here what happens here is that when you use boolean values like comparison operators, what I said you yesterday, it reflects the boolean value. Suppose look here, I have given int a as 100 and I'll give int b equals to 200. Now I'll ask a question here, I'll compare it, is a equals to b. So what will the output be, like what it will print? As I told before, if you write a sentence here inside the double quotes which treats as a string, it gives the same value like hello world. And if I give a number assigned to a variable and if I ask that variable to be printed out, it gives the value whatever it is assigned. What if I compare the values? It gives me the boolean value. Is a equals to b. As I said, if you use this for single time, it will be as an assignment. You are assigning 100 to a. If you use it twice, it is like you are comparing it. So if I run it, you are able to see the boolean value. Look, it is showing false because 100 is not equals to 200. So it is showing false. So other than this, if I ask if a greater than or equals to b, is a, just I'll compare, no need to equals to, is a greater than b, a 100 greater than b. If I do this, it gives the boolean value. It is false because a is not greater than b. What if I ask b greater than a? It means a lesser than b. If I run it, the output will be true. So here in the system.out.println, if you compare values or variables having values, the output you will be getting is that the boolean value, which is like true or false, only two values. This is only for comparison operators if you use inside a print statement, which is like system.out.println. Okay, this is the boolean value. You have only two, either true or false. And once again I will show you how boolean works here. Boolean show, and if you assign the value, you can only assign true or false. So this is the boolean data type. It has only two values, either true or false. And here, even if you have not mentioned the data type, but if you use two values and compare them, the output you will be initially getting the data type of boolean, either true or false. So I'll show the math methods, like what are the math methods Java provides for the Java developer to use for his application. So I'll create another package. I'll create a new package. Look, why I'm creating multiple packages is that whenever you create a package, assume it like the whole project is like college. The package is like a particular field, like you may have like PCMB, PCMC, PCME, like that you have, right? For that particular, it will be like the package. The physics teacher which will be taking for all the three, for science, and for commerce you have different HOD. It's the same here in the package. So if you create a package for separate things, it will be easy for you to access things from each other. So I'll create a separate, like I'll add the package name as math methods. So here inside this package, I'll create a new class. I'll give math examples as the class name. And people who are new in this session, look, the Java file name, this is the Java file name, this is the class name. It should always be the same. Even if one letter is changed, Java compiler throws you the error. This is the file name. Whatever you write the file name, the class name is automatically given by the Java compiler. If you try to change it, compiler will give you the error. So here, what are all the math method you are going to get from Java to your application? So here, the first one will be the math.max. You'll be having math.max, like math dot max. So here, this method compares two value and give you the output of the value whichever is the highest one. I'll give here 100 and 101. Out of this two, which is the highest value, it's gonna print it out. Fahrenheit. Look, 101. So this is the method what we'll be using to get the highest number when compared with the two numbers. Look, now with the int data type, I'll give int a is equal to 100, and I'll use the float data type, which will be b is equals to float b is equal to 100.83 f. So this is the standard of declaring a data type and variable assigning it. You have to mention f for the float because it gives the decimal point. So I'll compare the two values, a and b. So inside this I have given two values, 100 and 183, and I want to check out which has the highest value. So 100.83 is the highest value. I'll run my file. You got 100.83. So math.max is the value what you are going to get. The highest value is called back from the two numbers, and you have another one which is like min, which fetches you the minimum number out of the two. So here if you run it, the least number will be presented there. Look here, 100. So I'll make it both as float, float, and I'll make this as 0.77 f and let it be 0.83 f. Now I'm comparing two values and I want the least value to be shown here. I'm using min, not the max. If I use max, the highest value will be printed out. If I use mat.min, it shows me the smallest value. Look, it gives me 0.77, which is the least one out of the two. So these are the first two methods, which is like math dot max to find the highest, and you have math dot min to find the least. So these are the methods, and you have many more methods. And the another one is that you have math dot square root. So is that like SYSOUT, and here math dot square root. If you use this method, look here, for now, here in the parenthesis you have to give the value of whatever the square root you want to find the number of. Suppose if I give 9, you should give me the value of 3, because square root is 3. You are able to see here it is as 3. Now it is giving 0.0 because it has not converted into integer. Only integer, long, byte, short gives the whole number. If I write here 25, it should give me 5, because 25 square root is 5. So this is another method. The another is that like you have absolute, math.abs, which stands for absolute. It's a case where you convert the negative number into positive. I'll show you here. For now I'll comment it out so that in the console you'll get differentiate in the output. Look here, I'll give an int data type. I'll assign a variable as num, and I'll give the value as minus 143, like 147, and I will print it out. I'll print out the variable which has been the value assigned. Now if I do run my application or my file, look here, you are able to see minus 147. It's a negative number. So you already have a number which is negative in your application, but when you want to show a positive number, because in your application you don't want to show a negative number, but you already have it already, but you want to convert it into positive, you will be using math.abs. This is like absolute, math.absolute number. Here if I initiate the number value and if I run it, look, you are able to see 147 and the minus value has been removed. You are able to see the minus value removed. So this is the method. Like you have input values, like whatever the numbers you are going to store. So you cannot check every time to time whether you have input value negative or positive. Suppose if you have a negative value and if you write this, use this absolute method in your code, even though if with your knowledge, even if you are not getting, even if you are getting a negative number, it is converted into positive. So this is math.absolute. So now one more method is that you have math.random, which is like it gives you a random number from 0.1 to its fractional part, like another 9 and 0.9. I'll remove the whole thing here. So if anyone having any doubt, or if you are like uncomfortable to get to know the concept in English, you can ask me in Kannada too. I will help you out. And if you are having any doubts in between, you can stop me and ask how it works. Even if it is for Kannada, it's okay. Look, I'll show the math.random. So when you use math.random method, it gives you the output from 0.1 to, look here, 0.1, like you have 9 numbers, whatever you want, to 0.9, whatever the number it is there. So from this to this, the random numbers you will be getting if you use math.random. I'll take one example and I'll show you. I'll use SYSOUT, which is like print statement. Here I'll be using math.random and I will run my application. Look, you are able to see 0.58. You just ignore all these numbers. You just concentrate on the first two numbers. From 0.1 to 0.99 you will be getting different values. So this is what math random is. Look, now it is 0.10. Every time the application runs, it gives a random number. Now it is 0.28. Now if you see, it is 0.34. Now if you see, it is like 64. And there might be a case like, no sir, I need a whole number. Like 0.64 is not a number for me. I need a whole number, and I have a condition that it should give me the random numbers only from this point to this point. Suppose you need a random number from 1 to 10. If you want 10 to be included, you want to give 11 value. Look here, you are able to see here math.random. You have to multiply this value into whatever the number you want at the maximum. It starts from 0. If you give here as 10, you are able to see I have multiplied that value into 10. So for now, the random method gives me the number from 0.11 to 9.99. 10 will not be included because that's the maximum last number. If you want 10 to be included, you have to give it 11. So now if I run my application, look, every time it gives me the different value. Look here, now you got 8.12. Again, if my application runs, now I got 1.86. Again, if I run my application, I got 8.69. So this is how you fetch a random number on the whole number. Now if you are like, no, I don't need even this fractional decimal numbers, I don't need. For that, as I said that day, you have to do typecasting. Like, if you remember the example, smaller boxes can fit into a bigger box, but bigger box cannot be fit into a smaller box. So now this is like a double. This is a double data type where I have said the fractional part is more than 5 decimal points. If you get 64771, if you get this is of data type float. If you get more than this is of double. So now I have to convert it. Now if you want random numbers, a whole number, not the decimal point, what I'll be doing is that int variable name number is equal to, I'll use the same statement here. I'll use the same method here, like whatever the value, this mat.random multiplied by 11, this value has stored inside the number, and this number will be given inside it. Look, you are able to see the error here because the value what it gets, it will be a float. This value what you will be getting will be a float, but you have used here int. So it is a smaller one when compared to this larger one, double. So you have to do the typecasting here. How it is done? You have to do it manually. So now you can see the error has went away. It got dismissed. So this is like parenthesis, a separate operation. Right now, look, this is like I have used typecasting where the random method should be from 0 to 10. From 0 to 10, I should get the random number. So whenever I refresh my page, look here in the console, now I got 5. Whenever the application refreshes or it gets run every time, you get random numbers from 0 to 10. So these are the math methods what is available in Java. Sometimes it gets the same number, but it's a random number every time the application runs. So if you have any doubt about the math.random, you can ask me. Hope everyone are clear with this math.random. Are you guys clear with the math.random? You will be using often in your application. I will show one example how it will be useful. Anyone having any doubt? What about Asha, Lakshmi, Saraswati? You have any doubts? So here now I'll go for the conditional statements which are like if else and switch. For today I'll show you if and else if. And one more thing is that, as I said in the logical operators, how to use and OR gate. So I'll create a new package. I'll go for conditions. Conditional statements. This is my package name. I'll close everything here. And I'll create a new class. First condition will be the if example. I'll use public static void main. So how exactly the if condition works? So it is like you have to give first a condition, like the syntax will always be like if condition and the output. So this is the syntax you have to follow. Here you will be giving the condition. So I'll give the condition is 18 greater than 15. This is my condition. Is 18 greater than 15? If it is a yes, I want this to be executed. So this is the syntax. I'll share yes, it is true. Is 18 greater than 15? This is the condition I'm asking inside the if. The syntax, as I said before, if parenthesis quotes, and here inside the parenthesis, which is like round brackets, you have to give the condition, and if the condition is true, inside this you will be printing out, or whatever the code you want to get executed, it will be executed here. For now I'll remove this and I'll run it. Yes, it is showing me yes, it is true. It is giving me the value yes, it is true. Now is 18 greater than 19? I have given this statement only for true. In the syntax, as I told, if the condition is true, this statement will be printed. Now 18 is not greater than 19, it is a false. So when I run it, what is the output I am going to get? Look, I am getting the blank one here, because I have not given any statement for the condition was wrong. Only if it is right, I'll get this statement to be executed. For that you will be using else. Then you will be using another flower brackets, where you will be having SYSOUT, and inside this you will be writing not true. So now if I run, you are able to see 18 is not greater than 19. I should get the return not true. So if else condition means that you have a particular condition, and if that condition is true, one statement will be executed. The first one will be executed. If it is false, it is like else, either this or that, behaving on your condition. You have only two options here. This is if else. In this two condition, you will having two flower brackets, in which the first one, if it is true, it will show the first one. If it is false, it will show empty, unless if you use the else keyword here. So this is how if else works. Now I'll show you one example of how really if else works. So I will take the previous examples of mat.random. Now what I'll make here is that here in the example, I'll make it as, I'll declare a variable int age, and I will assign a value of 18, and I will ask the condition if age equals to, this is equals to, if you use single time, it is an assignment, you are assigning. Here I am checking if it is equals to 18. Well, for now no need to 18. If it is greater than 18, I want the system to show you are eligible eligible to vote. And here if it is less than 18, which is like this is the first condition, I'm asking greater than 18, so it is understood that if it is not greater than 18, whatever the value I am getting less than 18, it's a value, it's like I have to show this. If it is more than 18, this is the thing that has to be printed. If it is less than 18, this is the value. You are not eligible yet. So I'll make this as 19 and I will check my condition. Look, it is telling me you are eligible to vote because 19 is greater than 18. What if I make this 17? I'll run it. It is saying me you are not eligible yet. Now as I said the math random, I will apply the math random here, so that whenever the age is like I'll be getting the random numbers, and that random numbers checking upon the condition will I able to get this output. So I will check it out here. I will use math dot random math.random. So for now in this generation an average person lives like for 70 years, so I'll multiply with 70 because I'm getting this error because I have to do the typecasting. I'll convert it into int, and this math random should also be inside the parenthesis. Now I'll be getting a random numbers from 0 to 70. Whenever the number is greater than 18, the output should be showing you are eligible to out, and whenever the random number what I will be getting is lesser than 18, it should be showing you are not eligible yet. So look, I'll run my application. Look, you are able to see you are not eligible yet, but you don't know the number, so I will generate the number 2. I'll print out the number 2. So age, whatever the random number I'm getting that is converted into int, it's stored in age. So I am printing out age, so I should know the number what I have been getting. So I'll run it now. So 19. So 19 means you are eligible to vote. I will run my application again to fetch a random number 1. 1 is lesser than 18, so it is like a 1-year-old baby. You are not eligible to yet. You are not eligible yet. So I'll run it again. 25. You are eligible to vote. So here 48, you are eligible to vote. So the random age what I am getting, it is checking the condition. If it is greater than 18, it is saying you are eligible to vote. If I am getting less than 18, I will refresh it until looks. I got the value now 17, which is less than 18. It's giving me the statement you are not eligible yet. So this example, you had only two options. If you are more than 18, you are able to get the voter ID. If you are less than 18, you cannot get that voter ID yet. You have to pass the age of 18. So now what if you have multiple conditions? That is the question here, like, sir, I have two conditions, either this or that. This example, this is how I write code in Java for if I have two conditions. What if the condition for me have multiple for my application? So I will show the example. I will take the example for marks card, in which like if you are below 30 marks, it should be fail. Like if it is in between from 50 to 30, it should be like second class. From 50 to 70, it should be a first class. More than 70, it should be a distinction. What if I do the condition there? Here you can give either more than 50 pass or less than 30 fail. What happens the number between from 30 to 50? So you'll be obviously having that doubt. Asha, can you mute? So here I will take off this example now. I will remove the code, whatever it was executed, or let it be here. I will create a new one. Here I will do if else if. So this is where if else if comes to the action, right? If else if. Now I'll give the marks here as int marks is equals to 100. Now I'll just give it a random number. For every time it runs, I need a random number. So inside this I'll be using mat.random, and I'll multiply it by, like, score will be from 0 to 100. So what if students gets a out of out, I need the 100th value, right? So I'll give 101. So 101 will not be displayed, 100 will be the last number. If you give here 100, 99 will be the last number that is to be displayed. So I'll give 101. So now this is my marks. So here I will check it, the marks, whatever I'll be getting, marks. So every time I run, I'll be getting a new marks. Okay, 94. So I got 26, I got failed. Now 98, I got distinction. Now 1, I have got failed. 33, it's like second class. Now I got 67, which is like the first class. Now I'll use the if else if condition. Now my first condition is that if marks is greater than 70, I want this statement to be printed. SYSOUT, I want it to be shown. You passed in distinction. So whenever the random number what I am getting is greater than 70, the value will show me this output: you have passed in distinction. Now if else, I'll give else, then I'll print out SYSOUT average. Whenever I'll be running it, look, 29, I scored 29, and that's the average score. When I scored 25, I have passed in distinction, because more than 70 is considered as distinction. I'll run it again. I got 91, I have passed in distinction. Here there are not only two options, there are still fail, first class and second class. So what we will be doing is that here instead of else, you will be using another if. This is else if, and you will be using the condition here. This is how you do it, and once if you do it, you have to end it with the else. So here down below I'll be using another else. So here if the marks is greater than 50, if marks is greater than 50, it should be showing me first class pass, and here in the else I'll be giving fail. If I get less than 50, it should be a fail. For now, just assume it's not like if you get 50, it's not a fail, but I have to show you the value what you will be getting. So here if I run my application, so 91, which is of the highest level, I passed in distinction. Now I got 7, which is like 7 is a fail for now. Whatever below 50, it is a fail. Now I got 98, I have passed in distinction. Now I got 43, I have been failed. I have got 35, again I have been failed. I'll refresh it until I'll get first class pass, which is like more than 50 and less than 70. 11 is a fail, 48 is a fail, 46 again fail, 76 a pass distinction, 17 fail. Okay, I'm not able to get this first class. So it's not that if you get less than 50, it's not fail. If you get less than 30, you should fail, right? So here again I'll make this as else if, and here the condition marks greater than 30, it should be a second class pass. And here you have to end it with an else. So whatever less than 30, obviously it is understood that you have failed. Now observe, if you get a marks which will be fetching a random number from 0 to 30, you are failed. From 30 to 50, you are second class. From 50 to 70, you are first class. More than 70, you are pass distinction. Look, 61. Your marks is 61. It's a first class pass. If I run it again, it is 24. You are failed. Run it again. 78. You have passed in distinction. 37. Second class pass. You are almost failed. 23. Failed. So this is how you use your if-else-if condition. Hope everyone got it. Anyone having any doubt here, like if you have multiple conditions, if you have only two conditions, you can just remove this else if. You can directly go for if and else. Look here, if or else, either this or that. If you have more than two conditions, you can add in between them using else if. Everyone got it? Amrut, Aishwarya, Asha, Bhagya. So you get to know the difference here. If you have two conditions, you can go for if else. If you have multiple conditions, you can go for if, else if and else. Okay. So here with the next example, I'll go with the nested if. So like how nested if example work. I hope this example was a previous example, like either 2 or 3 members were in that session, but some of you are new, so I'll go with the same example. I'll create a class. I'll go for nested if. I'll finish. So how nested if works? So with the previous example, I'll show the syntax. If, here this is the syntax. If you have multiple conditions, else if condition, again this is the syntax, and again you have to end it with an else. So this is the syntax. Here I am getting error because I have to give the condition. If no condition, I simply write 19 equals to 19, 29, 34 equals to 89. Simply I have just assumed that. Look, this is a warning. You no need to worry about the warnings. You just have to focus on the errors. So this is the syntax. Now I'll show nested if, like having a condition inside a condition. Like if this is the condition, instead of I'm writing else here, inside here itself I'll be using if, another if. Inside if I'm using the if. So this is how you call the nested. So I will use the example here of the nested if. I'll create a string as username. I'll give it as Vikas, and I'll give a password of numbers, which is like int pass is equal to 1 2 3 4. Now how this condition works means that whenever the username is wrong, I want an error username was wrong. Whenever I want the password is wrong, I want to show the username was correct, the password is wrong. So how to do that? Look here, if inside the if condition, I'll give here. Instead I will check username, it is equals to Vikas, and if it is equals to Vikas, as I said, whenever I'm asking the condition, the first statement here, if it is equals to Vikas, then go for the password. Inside this I'm using another if, like check password, like pass is equals to 1 2 3 4. I want it to be printed as login successful. So what I did was, here is that if username is correct, go inside this flower bracket. After going inside this, it has another condition, so it is checking the condition. If this is correct, goes for the password. Yeah, password 1 2 3 4, then it should print the statement. So what if the password is wrong? Here I'll be using the else. So this else I'm using for this if, which is inside this else. If this password is true, if not else, which is not true, I'll be showing. So which is like it came outside the brackets. No, we have it inside. I'll show password wrong. So for username, if it goes inside the password only if the username is correct. So what if the username is not correct? At that time I should be checking for here else like, look, this else what I'm using is for this if username. So I'll check here SYSOUT username is wrong. Because I have not used the syntax properly. If here it starts, this one is ended here, this one is ended here, so I should be having here where it is giving me error. For now, just a second, I'll remove this. This if is the if condition, so it's like here. So here I'll be giving out for, I will explain again, no need to worry. I'll give here SYSOUT and I will say username is wrong. Now I'll run it in my application. Look, it is telling me login success. For now it is login success. Now if I change my username as Vika, it should tell me username is wrong. Look, it is telling me username is wrong. So what if was username was correct and the password was wrong? So it is telling me password is wrong, which is the second one. So I will explain this example again, removing all this. Look, now you have a username and password. First condition is that the first thing you will be using if this and else. Thus the first condition is for the username. Username equals to Vikas. Here I'll give SYSOUT username correct. For the else, what if the username was wrong? SYSOUT. I'll write it here. Username wrong. So I'll run it. Username is correct. So if I change the name as Vika and if I run it, it is showing me username wrong. So for password, what you have to do is that here in the if statement, if the username is correct, if this username is correct, you are asking this to print username was correct. No need to print this. If the username is correct, you are asking another condition to check for the password. So here, look, I'll differentiate here. Wait again. Look, this is a statement. If username is correct, it shows me this. Instead of showing me this, I'll remove this line of code. I'll make space, and here I'm using inside another if username is correct, check for the password. PASS is equals to 1234. Check this. If it goes for this only if username is correct. If not, it goes for this username wrong. If Vikas was correct, it goes for this condition, and if this condition is true, it will give me the output login successful. And if this was correct and this condition was wrong, I'll be using the else here. Else here I'll be using it. So this else condition is for password. For username you have here. Once if the username is correct, yes it was correct, it goes inside this, and again it gets shocked to see another condition, and it compilers will check this condition too, and if this is correct, it goes for ultimately this. If both are correct, it goes for this. this one is correct and this is wrong, it will go for this. So here I'll print out SYS full system password is wrong. So I'll correct. Now for now it is Vika. So if I run it, it is not true, so it go, this was not true, it is not Vika, so it goes for this else, the main one. So it shows me username wrong. I'll make this correct. So now it is correct, it goes for this thing, it won't go for here, it goes for this. So here it has another condition. After knowing it is correct, it goes for this and it checks another condition. If it is 1 2 3 4, it goes for this. I'll run it. You can see login successful. You can see login successful. And what if it is was wrong? Not 4, I'll give 5. So it is correct, I'll go here, and here in the condition, if it is correct, I'll print this. Now it is not true, I'll show this. Look here, password is wrong. You can add here the username was correct, but password was wrong. Here directly username is wrong. Now if I run it, look here, username was correct, this condition was true, but password was not true, so this else. And if I run it, this username starting itself, the condition is false. If I make it A, instead of going for this username is correct, directly it gives me username wrong. Look here, it is directly giving me username wrong. So this is the example for the nested if statement. You have a condition inside a condition. Hope everyone got these examples. I hope for today it's enough. Tomorrow we shall continue with the new topics, which is like switch statement and loops. Are you guys comfortable with English? And if you ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಡೌಟ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೂ ಸಹ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ನೀವು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ಕೊಂತೀನಿ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೂ ಇವತ್ತು ಮಾಡಿದ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟು, ಇಫ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸು. ಅದು ಸೇಮ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಜಾವಾ ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟು ಮತ್ತು ಜಾವಾ ಎರಡು ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟು. ಜಾವಾ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮಿಂಗ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜು, ಜಾವಾ ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟ್ ಬಂದು ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜು. ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಹೆಂಗೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟು ಗೇರ್ ಗಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಸಿಮಿಲಾರಿಟೀಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಶಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಗೇರ್ ಗಾಡಿ ತೊಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಫ್ರಂಟ್ ಗೇರ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಹಿಂದಗಡೆಯಿಂದ ಗೇರ್ ಹಾಕೋದಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಸೇಮ್ ವೈಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಸೇಮೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಆ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೀವು ಜಾವಾ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಜಾವಾ ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕಷ್ಟೇ. ನೀವು ಸಿಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಈ ಡೌಟ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಸಿಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಒಂದೇ, ಬಿಗಿನರ್ ಲೆವೆಲಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸಿಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕಷ್ಟೇ. ಹೆಂಗೆ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಇಫ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ನ, ವೇರಿಯಬಲ್ನ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಎಷ್ಟು ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು. ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಲೆವೆಲಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ಸಾಕು ಅನ್ಕೊತೀನಿ. ನಾಳೆ ಹೊಸ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ನ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಈವ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್.